Well, they fought. They gave an effort. We asked for that in the pregame show, and that's exactly what happened. But in the end, the Sixers fall. And, falling as the game is still ongoing. Not a final score.
It's
now
final.
It is.
It's final.
What is it?
131-109.
Welcome to the PHLY Sixers postgame show, live from the Xfinity studio, along with Derek. Kyle will join us here shortly. Bree, president of basketball operations, all of you in the chat, thanks for joining us early here as the Sixers fall, as Derek just pointed out, by 23 to the Detroit Pistons. They fall to 35-31 on the season, where the Detroit Pistons improved to 47-18 on the campaign. They remained in the number one spot in the Eastern Conference, well in front of the Philadelphia 76ers. A lot to get to here tonight as we have the Wawa Wednesday big deal. Even though we did not do it on Wednesday, since we were off, we make sure we take care of that on this Thursday. We have the Togo Unsung Hero, and we actually have an Unsung Hero for tonight's game, so we'll talk about that person a little bit later, and so much more, your super chats and your chats as we go along here. But Derek, this one went exactly as we thought. We felt like, look, we asked them to come in there and compete. They competed. They were down early, big. It got down by 17.
Yep.
And then in the second quarter, though, they did turn it up. And maybe it was a little bit, look, giving them credit for not quitting and continuing to really just get themselves into the game. But we talked about Detroit might take their foot off the gas a little bit, and knowing the opponent and who the Sixers are, maybe they would do that. They took advantage of the opportunity and they cut the lead. Detroit wasn't up by double digits at the half. They were only up by 7, 8 points, 9 at the half.
It was 5 or 4. I think they got the 4 within last minute.
And then they eventually tied it at 33 in that quarter. But they did exactly what we asked of them, as shorthanded as they are. VJ Edgecombe did not play well in this one, so maybe had he played a little bit better, could have been closer for a little bit longer. But this is what we talked about. This is what we pretty much expected tonight.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start off. I see a comment from Big AD in the chat, said that it is time to tank. Be on the lookout, because we will have an extra pod coming in the next day or two about that very topic. So we will address that in a more focused way than we have so far. I'll say, this game didn't really piss me off.
No.
If you were going to say you're going in...
The bar is on the floor.
It's pretty low.
This game didn't piss me off. Let's hang the banner, everybody.
We talked before the game. Detroit's really good at forcing turnovers. They're really good at hitting the offensive glass. Those are two areas where the Sixers were playing without a traditional center and without really any kind of big man at all. So they could have gotten pounded on the glass. They're playing without very many ball handlers, quite frankly. They could have had a lot of real turnover problems. The Sixers ended up actually in the positive in terms of turnovers. They turned it over 3 fewer times than the Pistons did, and he pretty much drew to even actually the Sixers ended up with one more offensive rebound than the Pistons did. So they were pretty competitive in both of those areas. It came down to the fact that the Pistons generated a lot better looks, and they made a lot more shots. And I think if you were going to tell me...
Are those two things important in a basketball game generally?
But those are two things that are really reliant on talent, not effort. I thought the Sixers gave pretty good effort. They just didn't have the talent to compete with these teams. And I'm okay with that, given you have 4 starters and your 2 reserve big men out of the lineup. I didn't expect them to have the talent. Now, look, we all knew if they were going to pull out an improbable win, they would have to go nuclear from 3-point range. 8 for 35 from 3. That didn't happen. But I thought for the most part, they controlled, especially in the first half. The first half, and look, I realized Detroit was probably sleepwalking through much of that second quarter when the Sixers really made that run to get back into it, to cut that 17-point lead down all the way to 4. But I thought they played with good effort. I thought they were able to generate some turnovers, get out on the break. I thought they were able to play above their heads on offense. It came crashing down in the third quarter, which is something that quite frankly happens even when the team's healthy, but especially happened here tonight. I think they got outscored by 14 in the third quarter. But like I said, the effort was there, and that's pretty much all I could ask from the collection of players that was on the court today.
So I'll start with this. That's the worst VJ game of the season.
Sure.
I think pretty easily. 3 for 14, and 2 of those are in absolute garbage time in the fourth quarter, where the Pistons had already built up a big enough lead. They're not worried about the game. Gets a couple cheapies, whatever. He didn't do anything well on offense tonight. And I thought the biggest problem for VJ in this game was he treated the possessions early in the game as if you could score 6 points on every possession, and that there was this huge time crunch. Like, I got to go now. I got to do this now. It's play fast, play fast, play fast. And he played way too fast. And there was a moment at the end of the first half, I thought personified that, where Quentin Grimes has the ball. They're running the clock down, drives, kicks it to VJ in the corner. He tries to leave early and forgets to bring the ball with him. Can't catch the ball. His drives, he needs to get a step deeper. When he got deeper, he didn't finish well. When he got open shots, he couldn't make them. And I think the biggest problem tonight was his handle was an absolute disaster. He was getting ripped left and right. And those aren't all leading to turnovers, right? There are a couple that they slap down, it goes off his leg, goes out of bounds, like those type of plays. But there were some other ones where they dislodged him and he lost control of it. And then you got to reset the offense. And so on a night where it's going to be hard to generate good looks, the Pistons are a great defense, base level, and your talent level on the floor is just, frankly, not that good. He's putting them into some situations where they're now down to like 8 seconds on the shot clock. And realistically, you're not going to be able to get a good shot. He ends up taking some, mid-range pull-ups, runners, shots that he can make, but probably shouldn't be the bread and butter of your offense. And I think in the first half, the rest of the team played well enough that they could have gone into halftime tied. They could have gone into halftime even potentially with a lead, depending on a few decisions that happened at the end of the first half. But he just did not give them a chance. When a guy who is one of your leaders on the floor is, I think we all believe, is their best remaining player available to go in tonight's game, it's just going to be really tough to win. And that's not to say that, like, oh, his career is over, he's a bust. Like, we've said so many great things about VJ during his rookie year, but this was a howler. He wasn't good at absolutely anything. And that puts you behind the 8 ball. If you're going to win games like this or even stay close, you need guys like VJ and guys like Quentin, to a slightly lesser extent, to give you like a relatively efficient 20 or so. Add some assists, add some steals, add some other things. And he just never showed up tonight. So tough one for him, but he's a rookie. These things happen.
Yeah. So with Edgecombe, he's in a tough spot for us to ask him at this stage of the season.
100%.
To be that guy that we're talking about. He's out there, so you expect him to conduct himself the way that you hope he would as a guy who has shown himself to be pretty good all season long in a lot of different roles that they've asked him to play, from lead scorer, secondary ball handler, fourth guy that in an offense, sometimes the fifth as well. He's really done a nice job in every role that Nick Nurse has asked him to do. He might be in a similar role against the Brooklyn Nets on Saturday and play much better. This is a team that we know they're at the top of the Eastern Conference. We know what they're striving for. We also know that after that second quarter comeback that the Sixers had, trailing by 17, we've seen the Sixers all season as a third quarter squad. After they fought themselves back into it, you knew exactly what was going to happen.
I was going to say, when you said we see them as a third quarter squad, a bad third quarter squad. Yeah,
that's what I said. Yeah. You knew exactly what was going to happen after they allowed the Sixers back into it. You knew what was coming, and that's exactly what was coming. And you needed VJ Edgecombe to, out of the locker room, after all the things that Kyle pointed out in that first half that were not good. They were down 9. Could he at least steady things and keep them in it long enough in that third quarter to get to the final 4 minutes of that third and say, you know what? Just what we did in that end of that second quarter, let's do it again here in the third and make this something going into the fourth. And he could not do that. Now, again, it's a lot to ask of him, of that particular player in this spot. So I needed others to uplift him, where you had Payne playing a pretty steady overall game, some things that you asked back of him. But for the most part, he was pretty good. But the guy on the screen right there, I look at Quentin Grimes, they weren't giving him anything. They weren't giving him any room in the first half to do absolutely anything. and they were daring the others, including VJ Edgecombe, to beat his men on one-on-one. So it wasn't a lot of the trapping that we thought we were going to see in VJ Edgecombe, maybe a few times, but it was a lot of, I'm going to shut Quentin Grimes down in these man-up situations, and they were cutting off any runway he thought he may have had, left, right, spin, not happening, transition. They were back. They were putting up any wall, and that's where I thought a lot of the help needed to come from, because I don't know that I could have trusted anybody else from Edwards to Watford to Barlow. I needed Grimes to be the one that we saw in this situation a season ago to help out the rookie, where the rookie could at least, sometimes he's the one, other times he's the two, and they just go back and forth from that, and you get the other things from the other role players that would help out in this one, just to keep it close a little bit longer. But by and large, I'm good with tonight because I didn't give them a chance at all. Nice individual situations, some games there. I mean, some moments there from each player. Yes, and we'll talk about some with the unsung hero, and we'll have a player of the game as well. But the first half is what I thought it would be. Maybe fight a little bit, feel good about yourself, and then you come out of that locker room, and the third quarter happens as it always has this season. In 60-plus games, it gets away from the Sixers. And again, Detroit allowed you back into that one. You knew they were going to punch you in that third quarter. And after that, it was just lights out in that one. So that's where I am on the lineups and what I saw from VJ Edgecombe. I would have liked to have seen, as Kyle is talking about, play a little bit better. But I am really going to grade him on the weekend against both Brooklyn and Portland for sure.
And I'll say this too. VJ and Grimes both would benefit from having at least one center in the game. Just because, look, I think in the first half, Barlow was very good at what he's being asked to do. They're playing a more aggressive and mobile defense, and so his ability to cover ground between the rim and the three-point line is really good. Offensively, he's taking guys off the dribble, so on and so forth. Like, did a lot of things well, and honestly stopped Jalen Duren from having too big of an impact on the game early. That changed in the third quarter when he just got absolutely run over on 4 or 5 straight plays. But when VJ can get a screen from a real big man and get separation, that's when he is at his best going downhill. And so a lot of times tonight, we joked before the game, right? Can they actually play 5 out when most of these guys that are going to play aren't shooters? Well, they did space it out, and they gave VJ and Quentin both possessions where it's like, hey, you got an ISO and you can attack what is basically an open floor. But Detroit, while it looks open early, is able to, because it's Barlow, because it's Jabari Walker, because it's Trendon Watford in whatever corner, they're able to send help and they're able to drop bodies in the paint. So even if VJ is getting by the initial line of defense, a lot of times he's going to meet somebody else at the rim. There's going to be help there. And then it's okay, are you going to challenge somebody at the rim? Or are you going to pass it out to a shooter that probably don't feel that good about making that shot? And so those guys are not in the best situations, right? There's not a lot of natural drop-off plays either because the big's not there. There were some nice drop-offs by Justin Edwards, who we'll get to later, by the way. But so I understand a lot of the mechanics behind on-ball struggles. I think what was disappointing is those also came with VJ not being able to hit a shot if his life depended on it from 3. Like, got open looks, was getting the ball in his pocket, clean, can't even come close on a make. So it's just a all-around really tough night for him, but these are going to happen.
Well, and that's like, on the one hand, this was sort of the environment and the opponent you expected VJ would struggle with, right? When he is forced to create pretty much every action, or at least be involved in every action, his deficiencies of ball handler really show up. And against the Pistons, who are incredible in terms of, getting their hands on balls, forcing turnovers, just making it real tough for guards to get where they want to go, and you have no spacing, and you have nobody else to alleviate and help you when they put pressure on you. From a ball handling perspective, I think this is the environment where he is going to struggle. On the other hand, he did get some pretty good looks that he just had no chance on. Right. So, like, his struggles as like an off the dribble guy, I kind of expected. Him not being to make an open shot at all really, really hurt you.
Yep, Absolutely. All right, we're going to take our first pause of the show on this Thursday night. Sixers fall by a big number to the Detroit Pistons, 131-109. They are now 35-31 on the season. Pistons, 47-18. Later on, we'll tell you what the other teams around the Sixers as far as standings, what they did tonight. A ton of them in action this evening. So we'll discuss all of them as we go along a little bit later. But when we come back, we'll get to the Wawa Wednesday big deal of the night on a Thursday, since we weren't here Wednesday. The Wawa big deal on a Wednesday for all of you.
Wawa Wednesday, Thursday.
No doubt about it.
It's a new thing around here.
Hey, the deals that we talk about, they're every day from 5 to 11 a.m. for the big breakfast deal that we always tell you about, the $5 breakfast deal, and the chicken sandwiches that are fantastic that you can get all day at Wawa. So we'll talk about the Wawa Wednesday big deal when we get back right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show.
And guys, next up, we want to tell you about TrueMark because it's time to make your home work smarter, not harder. With the TrueMark Financial Home Equity Line of Credit, you can tap into your home's equity to handle renovations, upgrades, or whatever's next on your list. A TrueMark Financial HELOC Select gives you the flexibility to borrow when you need it on your timeline. You start with a revolving line of credit, use only what you need, and when you're ready, you can lock in all or part of your balance at a fixed rate for predictable payments, and you only pay interest on what you use. And as you pay it back, that credit becomes available again. No reapplying, no extra steps. With competitive rates compared to most unsecured loans and flexible repayment options, this could be a smart move for your home and for your wallet. Learn more about TrueMark Financial's home equity line of credit at TrueMark.com or stop by one of their 24 branch locations to get started. TrueMark Financial is federally insured by the NCUA and is an equal opportunity lender, NMLS 404938.
All right, let's talk about staying in the game, everybody. If pain is slowing you down, knee, shoulder, back, whatever it is, you're running out there along Kelly Drive. Maybe you're playing some outdoor pickleball, whatever you're doing, some tennis. Well, you don't have to just deal with it. The team at Rothman Orthopedics, they have you covered. They've been recognized as the #1 physician practice in the country by Castle Connolly for having the most top doctors in orthopedic care. That's elite expertise trusted nationwide. Getting started is easy. And all you have to do is head to rothmanortho.com/PHLY to schedule your appointment. You don't know what type of specialist you need to schedule with. Use their fast scheduler program to quickly connect with their VIP scheduling team to get you set up with the appropriate specialist for your injury, and they'll take care of you. Also, with Rothman Now, it's easy to navigate there on the website. So book today at rothmanortho.com/PHLY and get back to doing what you love, pain-free. Back here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show. Sixers, Pistons. Pistons blow out the Sixers tonight in a big number. Back on the floor Saturday and Sunday. 1 o'clock tip time against the Brooklyn Nets on Saturday, so our pregame coverage will begin at 12:30. And then on Sunday, the Blazers in town, 5:30 pregame for 6 o'clock tip time right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. Let's get to the Wawa Wednesday big deal, where you can get any sizzly, any hot or iced coffee at any size and a hash brown for $5 from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. every day at Wawa. It's the Wawa Wednesday big deal. They miss too many guys in their lineup.
I didn't know where you were going with this because I was still out there as you guys were getting set up in here. I was going to say the big deal is not what Quentin Grimes is getting this summer. Holy
no, he
Toledo.
is not. No,
you want to talk about somebody who thought he was due for a payday and certainly looked on his way when he opened the season shooting the lights out. My God.
That is a big deal for him.
Well, it's a small deal now, unfortunately.
Yeah. No,
you have to go to somewhere that's not Wawa and get a worse deal.
Getting what he thought he was going to get.
Everywhere other than Wawa, Quentin Grimes is not getting the big deal.
And look, they miss their guys badly. So, I mean, we talked about this a lot, that since all of these injuries have come down, this couldn't have come at the worst time for the Sixers at this stage of the season. And these are not ones that we expect them right back on the floor. They have to be reevaluated to clear protocol to get back on the floor. And then they have to, get it going fast with maybe 6 games, possibly with all of them to play before whatever position that they're in the postseason. And hopefully they can maintain some ground here before any of them get back this is a big deal that we're talking about them being potentially a 10 seed in the Eastern Conference because of how far they may fall.
Yeah, the thing that is really tough about a game like this is that first half, I agree with your guys' assessment that they played hard. Like, those guys did their absolute best in the situation that they've been put in to try to put a respectable product on the floor, number one. But number two, just give themselves a chance to win. They're running the floor hard. While the defense wasn't perfect, it was doing what the goal of that defense is. Mm-hmm. It's causing chaos. It's forcing the ball into the hands of guys who are lesser decision makers, getting it away from Cade Cunningham. And you're limiting what your weaknesses are and strength. You're using your strengths. You're young, you're athletic. Let's just run. But then you get to halftime, and the other team's like, first of all, we're going to try. Like, we're going to try a little harder. And they come out and hit you with a haymaker in the first 2-3 minutes. And it's just like your legs give out. You don't have the overall talent, skill, and depth to try to come back against a team like that. And so eventually it's just, you're going through the motions a little bit. And it's like, mentally, that's really tough. These are not guys, most of these guys don't play on a nightly basis. These are guys that, frankly, might not even be active. The two-way guys, all three of them are active and play tonight. A lot of times they'll be active and just, wave a towel on the end of the bench. They'll be in street clothes. Even like the Justins of the world, Jabari is in and out of the lineup. Trendon has had some DMP coaches' decisions. And so you're thrusting them into a position where it's like you have to be responsible for this critical stretch of the season. That's just damn near impossible to put guys in a spot like that. And it is why, Devon, they need Joel back. They need to get some of these guys to like actually drive the team forward, because then you can slide. Justin played really well tonight. Justin had 4 steals and 4 assists in the first half. And I think that was the best defense we've seen him play in a long, long time, since he got the initial credit for, defending Steph Curry and maybe 1 or 2 other guys.
Months ago.
He came out and put his hard hat on and got into guys' chests. He created 2 turnovers in the backcourt, or one was right around half court. The other one was he rips Cade Cunningham on an inbounds and then dunks it, slaps the backboard afterward too. So he's feeling good about himself. Like, if you can put that version of Justin on a team where he's like the 7th or 8th or 9th or 10th most important guy that night, then you got something. Then you got the ball is rolling in the right direction. Right now, you're just hoping for like small miracles, essentially.
Yeah.
8-3 performance from Payne, a VJ Edgecombe 30-point game, Quentin Grimes going on a heat, or whatever it might be. It's a really tough spot these guys are in right now.
Essentially, as D. Craig76 says in our chat, they don't have enough dudes right now. Let's not overanalyze it. Well, unfortunately, we've got to do an hour show after every game, so we're going to analyze it a little bit deeper than that.
I don't think we've overanalyzed it anyway.
No, I think he's talking about the chat more than anything.
Okay.
But your point isn't wrong, sir. Like, there's only so much. Like, you could summarize our entire show into they just don't have enough dudes right now. Mm-hmm. And everyone's playing out of position. Everyone's playing out of roles. Some players like Barlow are playing literally out of position, playing full-time center now.
Yeah.
And other players are like, what Justin did tonight was real encouraging in 29 minutes. It's a lot harder, especially as a mostly off-ball catch-and-shoot player, to get in that kind of rhythm when you're playing 5, 10 minutes, maybe even 15 minutes. You can just ask Jared McCain about that. The moment you get a little bit,
there we go.
We had to mention
put $1 in the jar. We need a Jared jar.
It's tough for me to mention ducking anymore because like that part of the season's behind us. So I got to bring something else that I bring up every show out of nowhere. But it's tough to get in that kind of rhythm, and I think especially tough for a younger player who's kind of trying to establish himself as a first time. So yeah, it'll be great to see. I'm not gonna say great because him getting that kind of minutes means that we're not seeing the players that we truly are invested in, or at least truly can make this an entertaining product. But it's good for Justin that he'll get a chance to get some extended run here because he needs a little bit of a boost in his just how he feels about himself, quite frankly.
No, he really does, man. And it would be nice if Joel came back for the weekend, one of the 2 games, of course. Maybe you get him going against Brooklyn and hope that you can take night 2 without him. because they're going to go on this quick 3-game road trip, Detroit, Sacramento, and Utah. See how that one goes. But you need Joel Embiid back, especially with knowing that George is not back until the 25th, and Tyrese Maxey and Kelly Oubre won't be back until right around that time for Oubre and a week later for Tyrese Maxey. So you need Joel Embiid back to now we're back to the stack wins portion of the season, because you needed a game like you did the other day where you stole one. Now you need 2 more where you try to stock up those against Portland and Brooklyn. But when you even look at this collection of talent, can you win back-to-back games with this group of talent? Maybe.
I think you'd be fortunate to win one of those.
I know.
I think you should consider yourself happy if you go
Exactly.
1-1 this weekend.
So
and that's a sad place to be when we're talking about Brooklyn and Portland, man. Those are not exactly juggernauts.
And then we're looking ahead to the 3 games next week where 2 of them are Sacramento and Utah, but you're in their place.
Yes.
And you're doing that. So trying to take one this weekend, trying to take one of the 2 next week while you're on the road. If we're already, which I think most of us are, stamping, if Joel Embiid is not playing against the Denver Nuggets, you're stamping that one as a win for them. You need to start to try to put some wins together without their stars on the floor. And you need a better performance from Quentin Grimes and VJ Edgecombe in those matchups that they have. This is the Wawa Big Deal presented by Wawa. Make sure you check out Wawa for any sizzly, any hot or iced coffee and a hash brown. That's $5 every day, limited time from 5 a.m. to 11. And that is the $5 deal at Wawa. Don't forget about the chicken sandwiches. You got the roasted chicken. You got the the crispy chicken. You can add the teriyaki sauce. What's the sauce that you said you like to get on?
So I'm a buffalo guy.
Buffalo sauce.
I just like buffalo on almost anything. Like we have no free promo, but there is a buffalo related snack that we have in the office that
very good.
Derek and I have talked quite a bit about.
Yeah.
That if that brand ever decides to come on board, then they can get a name drop on the show. But yeah, I'm a Wawa buffalo crispy chicken sandwich just for me. I do need to try the teriyaki.
It's good.
It's a limited time. You got to
good.
try it out.
It really is good. So give it a shot, everybody. You have it, however you like it. Lettuce, tomatoes, add some other things.
I'll tell you, I've been all over that $5 big breakfast deal.
I mean, with a 1 o'clock game, I'm going to have to leave my house at like...
When you say any size iced coffee, I'm taking advantage of that. And that doesn't even include the food. That's the best part.
I'm going to have to leave my house at like 9:30 on Saturday. I am almost definitely getting Wawa.
Yes, indeed.
Almost definitely.
Yes, indeed. All right, let's keep the big deal going in a different way, though, Kyle, because it was interesting you brought up the Quentin Grimes piece of it. He's got, 16 games left now for him to...
Yeah.
And I don't even think that's going to do anything to change what his market is most likely going to be in the offseason. But to your point, probably not going to get the same offers that he got this past summer, and he might have left some opportunities on the table.
Yeah, and look, it actually might work out better for the Sixers. I think because of the sort of season that he's had, he's probably gettable, or they're going to keep him at a lower number, and
it would just be a matter of if he wants to
more helicopter fuel for Josh, baby. Keep those bills nice and low. But so if they'll keep him on a relatively manageable contract, I would imagine, and I do think that they want to keep him on the roster. If they don't, and they traded Jared McCain because, hey, we think we're going to keep Quentin being one of the reasons, that would certainly be quite a pivot in the span of a few months. That being said, I would rather live in a world where Quentin Grimes is playing well and Quentin Grimes is bringing the juice off the bench that really helped them in the beginning of the year when I've said it many times, his clutch shot making and his spark that he gave them off the bench, huge part of that early run of wins. And now that the chips are down and everyone's like, hey, it's time for March Quentin, the guy who we saw last year when everybody was out. And he just has not been able to deliver yet. So it's really unfortunate because they could use that guy right now. And I think the thing that was so remarkable last year is that he did it, and it at the time felt very real. It was not, he's just taking 35 shots. It was not, hey, this guy totally lost sight of his teammates. He was giving you like an efficient 25.
And it was every night
30,
too.
5 assists, 6 assists. I get it. The stakes are low, whatever. he looked like a guy who could be a genuine every night starter level player. And now it's like, man, can they get guys back so this guy can go back to the bench? So like, that's kind of how you feel watching him. And it's unfortunate because he's had great moments, just not enough of them.
And in his defense, the previous 3 or 4 games were better than
yes.
this. Like
and
this was a low
post
point.
All-Star break, he's been better for sure. But this one was
bad.
Not very good.
My question would be, they want him back. Does he want to be back in the role that he is on this team? That would be my question. And what does the number look like? We were all saying 18 to 20 last summer. Man, that is not happening now as far as annually 18 to 20 bringing back on the 4-year deal.
You think that 100K is still on the table?
That 100K can go a long way now, couldn't it? But, that would
buy
be
a nice car.
Yes, it would. Help Jabari Walker with his, get that paint chip.
Oh, yeah. I hope Jabari got his ride fixed up.
I'm sure he did.
That was tragic.
I'm sure they know some people that could fix that for him. But would he want to come back? And we don't know what the market would look like out there, but what kind of money are we talking now opposed to what we were talking last summer when it was 18 to 20? What are we looking at now? I saw somebody say the MLE in the chat for Grimes.
I'm not even sure if I would go that high at this point.
And look,
like
is he gonna
10?
Is he gonna do another?
Use a portion of it, maybe.
Yeah,
but not
a portion
the
for
full,
sure.
Yeah.
And he can't do another 1 year. He has to take. He has to take a deal now and just try to book in some money. He's 25. He'll be 26 in May. I mean, I'm looking at it. I'm like, my man, take a long-term deal and just finally book one here, because we don't know. I mean, we have no idea.
Yeah. At this point, you prioritize it. Let's say, hypothetically, if there's an owner who wants to make sure they're flexible so they can stay under the tax at the deadline.
Okay.
You've got Quentin and you've got, just hypothetically, stay with me now. You've got Quentin, you've got Kelly. Let's say you can't bring back both. Who would you prioritize?
So this is after the draft anyway.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, Kyle, off of Derek, what are you taking around that 20 range? You taking more wing with some size, or you taking 6'4" wing that's like a 2-guard?
No, look, I'm not gonna lock myself in a box in terms of who I'm gonna pick or what type of player I would pick. I would damn sure be prioritizing somebody who is at least 6'7" and can help them rebound and can dribble and can shoot. And like, there are some guys who I think fit that profile. So I want as many wings on this team as they can get. I think I would prioritize Oubre.
That's wild.
I would too.
Which
coming into the season, I thought it would have been Grimes, hands down. Hands down.
I would keep Kelly Oubre. And his number is going to be higher than Quentin Grimes'.
Here's part of it, too. I think there are a lot of guys who wouldn't be as good defensively as Grimes, but there are a lot of guys who can serve as a sixth man, bench offense, bench point guard, one or the other. Like, you can get a guy who's more of a table setter, or a guy who's more of in the Cam Thomas or Lou Williams. Not as good as Lou Williams, for example, but guys who are more in that I'm going to go out and just score and carry that unit type of mold. Definitionally, because there are a lot more guys on planet Earth who are around my height playing basketball than there are at Paul George's height, for example, and even fewer than are at Joel Embiid's height. And so there are just more guards who are playing in Europe, playing in the G League, at the end of somebody's bench, who I think could do some of what Grimes does. And then you make up for the defensive stuff with, you just play more wings, you play more defensively stout and bigger lineups. So I'm just not married to the idea of he's the third guard forever. I would like to have more wings on this team and more forwards on this team. So it's not that I want to be like locked in with Kelly Oubre forever. I just think it's hard to get playable wings, and Oubre has been a good one here. Admittedly, like, I think he's probably like a spot or two too high in the pecking order compared to where he would be if they were a great team. But it's a good question. Like, it is going to be something they have to think about when they go into this summer.
I do still look. Grimes is shooting 33% from three. Coming into the year, he shot 37.5% on over 1,200 attempts. I do still trust his shot will come back at some point. It might not happen this year. Shooting can be weird where like you can just have an off year and shoot like absolute junk. It's been and look, I still do think when he's been on the court with the other main pieces, he has scaled back his role for the most part.
Yes.
But it would be just so much easier to project if he would actually make a gosh darn shot every now and then. What was he? 0 for no, he was 1 for 8 today. Ooh.
And he couldn't get anything going. Anything tonight against that defense. All right, let's take a break. Great question by Kyle. Great lead in on Kyle talking about.
I was going to say, hey, you asked the question.
No, the big deal.
Okay.
The big deal where you talked about Quentin Grimes in the offseason and the money. That's a big deal because then you're going to have to choose between the two.
Great question, Devon.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And if you are also looking at it and you're saying because you made the Jared McCain deal, don't box yourself in on having to sign Quentin Grimes because you let
that's
happen.
what you can't do.
You
like
cannot do that.
Now he can't get that much money from teams because of the qualifying off all that. But you can't if there is somebody that is lurking out there ready to pay him a ton of money. I think what this season has taught you is
gotta let it happen.
You just don't throw good money after bad is what I would say.
Good luck, my man. Good luck. But that'll certainly be a conversation piece this offseason once the season comes to an end. Let's take our second pause. We're a little late on it. Let's take our break. We come back. We'll get the unsung hero right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show.
You guys ever have one of those days where you're moving nonstop and you realize I forgot to eat? I had one of those exactly today, and Wawa came in so clutch for me. We've been telling you all about their $5 deals that happen all day. It starts with the big breakfast deal. Today, I needed to get myself a bacon, egg, and cheese sizzly on a croissant, hash brown, and an iced coffee. That's all for $5. You can get hot coffee too, any size that you want. And then the deals keep rolling the rest of the day with the $5 deals they're doing on their roasted and crispy chicken sandwiches. They are delicious. They even have a new limited time teriyaki flavor that you got to try. It's real food, real value, built for busy days like the one I had today. Let me tell you, don't move furniture around the house by yourself, but do make it to Wawa. Start your day strong and fuel up whenever you want to. Limited time, exclusions apply. See Wawa.com for details. You guys know it. You got to have a Wawa. Spring is back, baby, and you know what that means. Rita's is back. That's right. It is the sweet sound of Rita's season. All your favorite frozen treats are back and better than ever. I can tell you some of my favorite frozen treats are better. I remember growing up, going to practices, getting out, you're all hot, sweaty, and you're like, man, I want a mango gelati right now. I want a blendini. Nothing hits like that first refreshing Italian ice of the season. Maybe you're a frozen custard person. Smooth, creamy. It's perfect every time. And if you really want to do it right, come on, get the gelati. Mango for me. I just tried that Shamrock cream ice too. Ooh, man, that was delicious. You guys got to get out there and try it. And don't forget to download the Rita's app. New app users get a free small gelati ice or custard with their first purchase. Free happiness waiting for you. Come into Rita's. Make this season the sweetest one yet with ice, custard, and happiness. Treat yourself to a scoop of happiness today. Be cool. Go to Rita's. Learn more at ritazice.com.
Make sure you go get that Rita's.
Yeah, baby.
They're open. They're ready for you. They have all the water ice, all the ice cream, the custard.
But I have a question for you on Rita's while we're here. In or out on Swedish fish?
The water ice? I've never had it.
Because I know you're not a Swedish fish guy, and
No, I'm a Swedish fish.
Oh, you like
is not.
Derek is not.
Yeah.
I'm not out on Swedish fish. I just always prefer Sour Patch Kids if I have the option.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you had the water ice?
I have not.
I actually really
it,
like it.
I'd try it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Swedish
try
fish gelati, honestly, much better than I expected.
I
But
honestly-
the mango is a classic.
I honestly don't have a Rita's like all that close to me.
Really.
That's
I
a
gotta go
bummer.
out of my way a little bit.
Don't
to get
worry.
one. When I was growing up, I used to have one
I'll
2
have my
blocks away.
people talk to your people.
Exactly. Don't worry. We'll have some here for you in no
Look,
time.
If they want to bring more into the studio, I am A-okay with that.
In no time. All right, let's get to the unsung hero presented by Togo, the leader in operations outsourcing. Got to talk about this guy for a couple of minutes, give him some praise for the job that he did. We mentioned Justin Edwards a little bit earlier and some others, but Marjon Beauchamp, we mentioned him briefly in the pregame, and he comes out and he foot on the gas coming into this one, man. 17.6 boards. His 17 led the Sixers in scoring. His 6 rebounds was second on the night. He was 2 for 7 from 3, 7 for 13 overall from the floor. And we mentioned the boards, but he had a block shot as well. So, Derek, when you look at Beauchamp and what he did tonight, I think the last few times we've seen him, he's played well, but then we don't see him the next game or the next game.
Well, good news. There's so many people out, it's impossible not to see him in the next
bingo.
game.
So is he going to take it, Nick Nurse giving him an opportunity this weekend at least?
I hope so. And look, he made a pull-up 3. I thought Kyle was going to fall out of his chair. It completely threw us all off guard. And then he took another one. There's no way he's getting 2 in a game.
And that one was a line drive.
Yeah.
So it was like,
the jumper, I'm still a little iffy on. But he's just got like so many things that are obvious. Oh, that's an NBA wing. Whether it's the size, the athleticism, the movement, the ability to find cutting lanes, even the ability to attack off of a straight line drive with his dribble. And they just have such a need for that archetype and that kind of athleticism. And quite frankly, just that kind of an effort that I think I think he's going to continue to get minutes because you just don't have that many other options. And I think he's going to show some stuff. Now, I think he's also going to be streaky and inconsistent. You're going to have times where maybe the handle's not going to be quite what you want, or he's going to get tunnel vision, or his shot's not going to come around. You're going to be frustrated by him. But it's very clear he has NBA athleticism. It's very clear that he has some talent, and that's why he ended up being a first-round pick. Now it's whether or not he can put all of that together. And look, if you end up having to use him more than you would expect because you have so many guys out, at least we get to watch a relatively young kid try to put it together.
Yeah, I will say this. Yes, we almost fell out of our chairs at the pull-up 3 in transition, but when we had our pregame discussion, those are the exact shots I was asking for. If you are open in this game and there's any degree of confidence deep in your spirit, I want to see you take that shot. So I'm happy to see him take those. He made one of them, and then the second half looked a little more what I expected a Marjon Beauchamp transition 3 to look like. But yeah, this is an opportunity for all these guys in that mix between him, Tyrese Martin, completely out of the rotation until the end of the game tonight. So not looking too good for him on that 2-way deal. And then Edwards, I think, probably the best of the bunch, the only one of those guys on the actual roster and got to start tonight. But yeah, he is a really good athlete. He's got some good instincts as a cutter. He can make some defensive plays. The shot is and has been the swing skill for him. So whether he can put it together largely comes down to that. But I'm happy to let him get some reps right now because they're high stakes for the team, but they're not in the sense that nobody really expects much out of them right now. So that's as we saw with Quentin Grimes last year, to bring it back to him, that can help guys, find that next level or a new level that they hadn't hit before.
Yep. All right. That's our unsung hero, Marjon Beauchamp, coming in with a pretty good night, presented by Togo. Great people at Togo, the operations leader in outsourcing. Let Togo handle the work, and that gets in the way of your work. You call the plays, we execute at Togo. When we come back, we'll acknowledge the player of the game, and we'll also talk about a few other players, including Derek and I talked about it live in the moment. We did ask Kyle about it on the pregame, but give him an extensive runway here. Tonight, not 83 from Bam Adebayo. And we'll give you the standings overall after all the night's games. So we'll get Kyle's thoughts on the 83 points. Who's next? I'll ask these guys. Just put it early and ask all of you. Who's next to have a big night like that? Let's say
the power of Magic City behind Luke Cornett.
Can't wait. Did the Spurs go to Atlanta yet? We got to find out.
I got to look into that.
I want to ask everybody, too, just because of the conversation we're going to have about Bam in the final segment. Who is next to have a 60-plus game? Just throw it out there. We'll do that when we get back. It's the PHLY Sixers post-game show on a Thursday night. Do you really want Joel Embiid jumping in the stands, saving basketballs? Not really. You don't. You want him healthy and safe and ready for the postseason. We're asking a lot there, but it's not worth the risk, time, or money. You keep your stars focused on what they do best, and Togo does the same, and that applies to your business as well. For small and mid-sized businesses competing with bigger companies, It isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. With competition heating up, you can't afford to fall behind. AI goes beyond ChatGPT, and it gets overwhelming pretty fast. That's why having a trusted guide like Togo matters. They streamline your operations by handling customer service, accounting, order management, logistics, and much, much more. Every engagement starts with free process mapping, and Togo doesn't bill a dime until real work begins. Programs start as low as $1,000 a month and are built to scale without breaking the bank. Visit Harness Togo, that's TOGO.com, and mention PHLY for a free operational assessment. Oh, everybody, I'm excited. I've been telling you about this one for a while. My great, great people at Parx Casino, the Excite Center. One of the many things that I love about Parx Casino, my casino of choice. Tracy Morgan, baby. Yes, Saturday, March 14th, in town in Philadelphia. Big Tracy Morgan fan all the way back to his Def Comedy Jam days. Martin, of course. We get to see him live at Parx Casino. If you don't know about Parx Casino, it's Pennsylvania's #1 casino. It's so close to Philadelphia, located in Bensalem. Take the Street Road exit off of I-95 and the PA Turnpike. The Excite Center is the state-of-the-art entertainment venue located inside Parx Casino. Named one of the best places in the country to see the best music headliners and your favorite comedians like one of mine. That is Tracy Morgan at Parx Casino on Saturday night. Parx Casino, this is how you win. Visit parxcasino.com to get tickets. Must be 21 and over. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Bree said we're back here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show. Derek, Kyle, Devon, Bree. Make sure you check out allphly.com for all the latest on the Sixers, Eagles, Phillies, and Flyers. Right there at allphly.com, including Kyle's postgame recap tonight against the Detroit Pistons. Also this weekend against the Nets and the Blazers. 2 home games, 1 o'clock on Saturday, 6 o'clock on Sunday. All right, let's acknowledge the player of the game tonight. He finally missed a three-pointer, everybody. Payne, off the bench, 5 for 10, 2 for 6 from 3, 15 points, 2 assists, 1 rebound. The guys said he should have had more assists, but players did not finish on the passes that he sent their way. So, Payne, our player of the game tonight. After a slow start that we talked about him since he rejoined the team, he has found his footing, Kyle, especially with the extended minutes that he's getting.
Well, the announcing crew, I think, heavily jinxed him in this game.
Yeah.
They made a whole show out of, hey, the guy who had the most consecutive threes over different games was Shake Milton.
Which I had completely forgotten about.
I had also forgotten about that. And so
14.
then Cam promptly took his first 3 of the game, was an absolute bomb, was super deep. And it was like, well, there goes that attempt at a record. So, yeah, I think he finally looks like he is settling in. I think it's easy to dismiss it because it's a thing that people go through themselves in smaller doses, but all the jet lag stuff. And it's not just jet lag, it's just getting used to, he's living overseas for a while there and coming back, getting thrown into things. I know the first few days he talked to us about in the locker room were just crazy hectic, where he's getting the physical, and then he's going here, he's getting set up at home, then he's got to get to practice, he's got to read the playbook, all the different things that go into that. Then you're traveling. And so I think he finally looks like someone who's back into, all right, I'm in my NBA routine. Like, this is what my day looks like, my home, my practice, all that has fallen into place for him. So I don't think it's taken the sting out of the trade that was made at the deadline using a different bench guard. Something happened in the Flyers game out there. But I think he certainly looks closer to the guy we were hoping they were bringing in, rather than the first few games where it was like, are we sure they can't send this guy back to the team he's playing for in Serbia? Because it's been rough. Good for him. Good couple games for him.
Yep. Eden the Remix asked, why is he not starting? As we said in the pregame, it's probably just the
we all had him starting.
Yeah, it's probably Nurse just wanting to have that ball handler off the bench, and he's going to play
despite
minutes.
Us specifically was the problem, I think.
He's going to play minutes, but he just wants that ball handler off the bench. So, Payne, our player of the game tonight for the Sixers in this one. All right, Kyle.
So I went back and looked it up. The Shake Milton 14 in a row happened over a 3-game span.
Was that during the Clippers run?
It was
when he dropped 39
Oh,
on the Clippers.
no, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, he had 7 of 9 from 3 that game. Yeah, it was 2 games before then the Clippers game. Sorry, go ahead.
Which spawned one of the all-time tweets, the quote of, I think it's from Trill Withers on Twitter, where he said, "Help, damn it, help!" Paul George guarding Shake Milton. Every time I see that pop up, it always just makes me very happy inside. So good.
Super chats. Wes says, game was closer than I thought. I still have hope. Just got to pray for some safe recoveries from the starters.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll learn about Joel tomorrow, so hopefully we'll get some kind of direction on that.
All right. Thank you, Wes. Appreciate it. Davon says, wouldn't mind these 3 two-way guys on minimum deals next year. They aren't perfect, but I think being 12th, 13th, 14th guy is just fine with me. Notice how he stopped at 12, 13, 14?
Smart man.
Schoolboy listens and pays attention enough to know they are not putting a 15th guy on the roster because
gotta duck the tax.
See Allen Iverson right there.
Josh.
There you go. Davon, West, thank you so much for the super chats. Really appreciate it. Kyle, 83 points for Bam Adebayo the other day. Sparked a lot of controversy, a lot of conversation.
Boy, did it.
Took away from campaign night overall. Campaign wasn't happy about that. He wasn't going to let that take away from his career night. That said, campaign aside, your thoughts on the 83 and then the things that have followed since then.
So here's my take. It was the absolute funniest thing that could have happened that this specific player is the person who passed Kobe's 81, which, by the way, the level of Kobe Bryant psychosis that some people have, that they treated his game, which is 19 points fewer than the record, as like, it's an incredible game, one of the all-time individual performances. But the people who treated it as like its own record, brother, you were 19 points behind number one. That's not close. That's like saying, Joel scored 70. It's like, boy, guy was real close to 51. Like, that's not even a similar caliber of game.
He did not break Kobe Bryant's scoring record.
He passed the guy who was second and made him third. So that's that. I would say the main thing is that it was grating to watch at the end. I think the first 3 quarters, because I did go back and I watched a lot of that game. The first 3 quarters was mostly just he was on fire in the first half, had another strong quarter in the third. I think it got a little bit ridiculous at the end. And all these the big scoring nights have to be just you get that guy the ball every time down. Where I will defend Bam and Spoelstra and the Heat on this one is that the Wizards also were acting completely ridiculous. They're like double and triple teaming him on the opposite baseline. They're trying to double and triple team him off the ball. It's like when Kobe scored 81, part of the reason he scored 81 is they single covered him for the entire game. They didn't send more than 2 or 3 double teams the entire game as this guy is lighting their butts on fire for 4 straight quarters. And the other part of it, as many people pointed out in different articles and tweets and wherever else, that game was also over with like 4 minutes left. And Kobe had a chance to go chase like his own piece of history, and they left him in, and he did. And like, that's fine. I think there's this reflex in team sports that I do understand where people get skittish about anybody who's like, with Joel, I want to win MVP or I want to win this award and I care about this individual thing. It's okay to have individual goals and things you aspire to within a team game. And this hurt literally nobody. Nobody got injured. Nobody was put in any kind of jeopardy. It's still just a basketball game. So it was just the perfect player to do it because it's also not a guy who scores a lot. It's just like the most random person that you can think of. And all the crying about it is like, you know what, dude? All you guys get the Wizards on the schedule too. You guys have your opportunity to play this butt team with nobody who can defend you. You go score 83 points if it's so easy. And if you can do that and win by 25, I say more power to you. So I congratulate Bam mostly on making all the insane Kobe fanboys mad, but also for putting his name not in the record books, but second on the all-time list. Shout out to Will Chamberlain.
We found Kyle's true motivation here, and it's Kobe fans.
Kobe fans are insane. And it got way, like, obviously I get why. Like, he passed away very tragically, and all the, nobody can ever say anything mean about Saint Kobe or anything less than, like, bowing at the altar. Pretending that, like, he had the record when he was never close is the deepest level of delusion that I could imagine.
And, of course, who Kobe scored 81 on, we all know because Joel has referenced it multiple times.
Shout out Jalen Rose.
Yep.
It's the funny part is people were like, oh, Jalen Rose got to be so thankful. He's gotten brought up more because of the Bam game than people had brought him up in like years. So, but shout out Jalen Rose.
Washington did play tonight, and Jalen Suggs led them to scoring with 28 points against Washington. So there you go for the Orlando Magic. So they did not follow Bam and get 80 plus or a new career high for people to get all upset about. So if you had to guess, Derek, any guess? I mean, we mentioned, we ran over the list. Luka has a big game already under his belt. Giannis certainly has a big game under his belt, but there are a lot of young guys that are big-time scorers in today's league that haven't yet done that. So do you have a candidate for the next one to maybe not 83 or 81, but maybe 60, 70, somewhere in there?
So I think there's some people you just cross off. Like Shea, I think they just have too much talent. They're never going to need him to score 83 or whatever. Luka, I think, would probably, quite frankly, get tired if he had to score that many points in one game. I think it might be Kyle's boy. I think it might be Ant.
I think so, too.
I still think I would put it on. I think Luka would be the guy. Like, I think Ant is on the short list for sure.
I have another one.
I think you also have to look at a team that just doesn't have all that much talent around him and relies on their star a lot, which lends it to Luka as well, but also to Ant a little bit too.
Ant's got talent though.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some talent around.
There's some talent, but not
the
like
way you just take over. So that's why I was going to go with Wembanyama as the guy because of the height, all that stuff that he can get to the free throw line, which helps out. We saw Bam shoot 40 plus. He can shoot threes like Bam did the other night, and they just throw it up at the rim, and he just finishes it there. So if it's a close game, I could see him doing that and putting up a big number. Obviously, Joel, we know, can do that whenever. He had 70 against Wembanyama in that Spurs team, and a lot of people point out it wasn't a lot of Wembanyama. It was a lot of Zach Collins, but nevertheless, he had 70 in that game. I would say Anthony Edwards, Luke is still capable of, and certainly Wembanyama.
Because Luka he had what, 72 or 73?
No, Luka's definitely in the list of the conversation.
Yeah.
I would probably just lean towards Ant as the most likely. Maybe just because he's not as
Maybe
obvious.
if Darren Peterson likes basketball, he'll be the guy because that might be the craziest college season I've ever seen. That game was starting like right as we were getting going here.
Okay.
He is unbelievable to watch when he's on the floor, both in terms of his talent and also the hey, take me out of the game stuff. I have absolutely no idea what to make of it because boy, the shot making and scoring talent is just crazy. This is going to be a fun class. Like I know this year's group we spent a lot of time on and very, very good at the NBA level, but these 3-4 guys at the top of this class are special.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's get to just a quick update on tonight's games and what happened in the games tonight, where the Sixers are as far as the standings go after all the action tonight, because again, not just Sixers in Detroit, Orlando we mentioned, Atlanta played, and so did Miami. So the standings go as such after tonight's loss for the Philadelphia 76ers. The Philadelphia 76ers are now ninth in the Eastern Conference. They are tied with Atlanta, but Atlanta has now won 8 in a row. So Atlanta has now jumped into a tie, 35-31 as far as their record goes. They are both 2.5 games back of the Miami Heat, who also won tonight. Miami took down Milwaukee, 112-105. Bam did not get 83, so don't worry about that. Passing his own record, everybody.
And we're going to overtime for our people who are on fast.
Thank you.
Always got my eye on the clock, boys.
Appreciate it. Allphly.com for the remainder of the show. We'll see you at 12:30 on Saturday for the pregame coverage. And who else did we have here? Toronto lost yesterday.
They've been one of the only things that gives you a little bit of hope if you're a Sixers fan. Raptors have been really struggling.
They have fallen off.
They cannot get it together. Now, that doesn't mean that one of Miami or Orlando will just make that irrelevant with how they're playing.
Orlando, 6 in a row. Miami, 7 in a row. Atlanta, 8 consecutive wins. And they are on a roll too. Toronto losing those, so they're a game and a half. Both those teams are a game and a half back of the Raptors and 2.5 games back of the Orlando Magic. Sixers, game and a half up on the Charlotte Hornets now because of their loss tonight. So that's where we are. Sixers are currently 9th. And as far as the Bucks, they still hold a 7.5 game lead over the Bucks at the moment in the standings. So still, Milwaukee has a lot to catch up on, but just wanted to make sure we reference that because we didn't even expect the Sixers to be where they are right now at the bottom of the play-in at this moment. So they wouldn't even host a game. They would be on the road for the Charlotte. It would be this, how does it go again? 7, 8, 9, and 10? 7 would play.
9 plays 10. And
9 plays 10, and 7 and 8 plays each other to lock in 7. Okay.
And then whoever loses the 7-8 gets to play the winner
of 9-10
and host the 9-10.
All right. So there we are. That's the Eastern Conference standings, and your Philadelphia 76ers just nosedive.
That's a loss, and you're out for the year.
Nosedive
situation
man.
At the moment.
It's a loss, and then you're in the.
That's correct, and we are going to talk about that in another forum very, very soon.
All right. So, everybody, Sixers fall 131-109 to the Detroit Pistons. They're back on the floor Saturday at home for 2, Saturday and Sunday. First game, Saturday, 1 o'clock. We'll be here 12:30 for the pregame coverage. All right. Get ready to say goodnight with the world-famous roll call.
Thank you, everybody, for being here after what I can only describe as a listless, uninspired, anonymous performance by the Sixers. But we didn't expect anything different. We expect the best out of you, and you mostly brought it, except let's all calm down a little bit in the chat, and we can disagree and be nice to one another. That's all I'm saying. I'll just throw that out there. But thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you to Mom's grandchildren. Thank you to Vince Pellegrini, to Marty Bones, to Mr. Midrange, Eden the Remix. Wes, who had a super chat. Schoolboy also had a super chat. Thank you to our friends for their super chats tonight. Thank you to Larry Jackson, D. Craig, 76. Yams in the house.
Whoa. What up, Yams?
Chris Blaylock, Philly Reddick, Phil W., Philly Star, Jay the Jungle, Ike, Joe Tiz, Reardon, James Lacey.
What up, James?
Greeny Green, D. Flyers, Sid the Kid, Marcus Blackstock, Theo, Bernard McCoy, Larry K, SB Cole, Phi Chi, Lost Sleep TV, Val, Jess, Nona, 76ers, TTP, Arizona Ron, Big AD, Rich P hanging out with us.
What up, Rich?
Terry in the building. X-Man, I don't think I said. Thank you to X-Man.
What up, X?
And everybody else. Thank you for hanging out with us on a Thursday night. We are off on Friday, though I think you should still see some other stuff coming out from us tomorrow. Saturday and Sunday, Sixers have a back-to-back. That means we have a back-to-back. So we'll be here for a 1 o'clock tip on Saturday, 12:30 pregame. Sunday is a 6 p.m. start, I believe, so 5:30 pregame. You guys will see 2 of the 3 of us up here for those games. Bree is here as always. On the way out, I need you guys to hit the thumbs up button for us. It helps out more than you could possibly imagine. Does a lot, not just for us, but the whole damn channel, company, all our friends here. And of course, it says thank you to super producer Bree, who makes it all happen. On the way out, also hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live. And until next time, stay safe, take care of one another. Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.